President Donald Trump approval rating today after the first 100 days in office. President Donald Trump is now 100 days into his second term and his presidential approval ratings are shifting. Trump's presidential approval rating remains steady throughout the first 2 months and in some cases his highest rating yet. But new polls are showing a shift. According to the latest CBS News/YouGov poll, 61% of Americans believe Trump is doing what he promised in the campaign, with the other 39% saying it's different. A whopping 69% don't feel the administration is focusing enough on lowering prices, with 62% claiming there is too much focus on putting up tariffs. The poll also noted that only 19% felt Trump's policies were making them better off financially, with 48% claiming it made them worse off and 33% claiming indifference, feeling they were the same. Trump's overall job approval rating has slid to 45%, with the other 55% showing they disapprove. This poll shows the slide from 53% approval on February 9, to 51% on March 2, to 47% on April 13 and still sliding. The president's handling of immigration is slightly down to 49% approval versus 51% that disapprove. Albeit noteworthy, the majority of Americans polled claim his policies have reduced border crossings and approve of the administration's program to deport immigrants that are in the U.S. illegally. Democrats in this poll were specifically asked how their party's handling of the Trump presidency made them feel, to which they responded overwhelmingly with 66% frustrated, and 53% said nervous. Here's what the most current polls show about Trump's presidential job approval ratings as of April 28. What is Trump's current presidential approval rating? According to today's Rasmussen Reports polling, Trump's approval has been slumping all week, showing a 47% approval rating and 51% that disapprove. The New York Times/Siena poll reported a 42% approval rating over 54% that disapprove. It showed the majority disapproval among handling of economy, immigration, Russia/Ukraine war and trade topics. In CNN's poll, Trump's approval dropped to its lowest this term so far at 41% and a 59% disapproval overall. In a Qantas Insights poll, Trump's job approval stood at 47.7% approval versus 49.8% that disapprove. Adding in this poll was the question of Democratic leadership, which showed Kamala Harris leading the 2028 primary field with just 30% and no other visibly leading candidate. Real Clear polling, which encompasses the average of 16 different pollsters, including all those mentioned above, shows Trump's overall favorability dropping to 45.1% versus 52.5% that disapprove, as of April 29. This is also his lowest overall approval score so far this term, which has been on a downward slide since March 12. Note, polls are constantly changing and different pollsters ask different varieties of the population. These numbers were reflected as of Tuesday, April 29, 2025 at 3 p.m. Who would win in a do-over Trump vs. Harris election day 2024? In a recent CNN poll, data analyst Harry Onton asked Trump voters if they'd vote differently in a do-over. I'm here to tell you, very few of them regret what they did back in 2024. His polling results showed that only 2% said they would change their vote while only 1% said they wouldn't have voted at all. When Kamala Harris voters were asked the same question, the poll numbers came back very similar. So, if there was a repeat, if folks got to be able to redo their vote from back in 2024, would the result be any different? I doubt it would be. I doubt it would be, or it would still be extremely close, said Onton. Adding, the bottom line is, for all this talk of Trump voters regretting their vote, in the numbers, it really just doesn't show up. Onton said if there is some idea out there that Trump voters are going, man, I wish I would have voted for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump, the numbers say that is a fanciful universe. It really, for the most part, doesn't exist.